All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Playoff basketball is now here. We're done with the play-ins. We got real playoff action. It is April 15th. 4 first-round games on today. We're going to jump into each and every game. I'll give you my lean on the spread. We'll talk about the total. But as always, my final plays, those will be in the pinned comment. I update those throughout the day, always before game time. So make sure to go check out that pinned comment, guys, for what I'm actually going to be rolling with. Last night, you know how we hadn't lost in the play-ins yet with all of our plays, right? I was like bragging about it yesterday. 0-2 yesterday. So hopefully bounce back from that today. But yeah, a couple things to talk about before we do get into the video here. If you guys follow me on Twitter, or you're looking at the community post here on YouTube, or you're in the Discord, my TikTok yesterday was banned, which is where we do all of our player props and prize picks plays, no house advantage plays, thrive plays, all that good stuff, our no run first innings for baseball. So guys, we did make a second account temporarily, hoping to get the main account back. Obviously, it's a bummer that that's gone really hard to lose. I'm not exactly sure why we lost it or why it was banned, so really trying to work to get that back. But in the interim, we do have a new TikTok. I'm going to link it in the description and the pinned comment. If you guys wouldn't mind tossing a follow to that new account, it would be very, very helpful. We were just about at 30,000 on the other account, and then all of a sudden TikTok was like, yeah, for no reason at all, ban. So I think that was just a wrongful ban on their part. So we're trying to track that down and get the account back. But if we don't, we got to start from scratch again, and that's what we did yesterday. So I'll link that account if you do want to show your support by simply following that account for free. It would mean a lot. And while I'm asking you guys for stuff, go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on the video, and also go ahead and like this video as well. And let's jump into the first game. We got the Sixers taking on the Nets here. Sixers 8.5-point favorites at home. Total sitting at 214. Now, I was thinking about, as we go through these games, do we talk about the series? Do we talk about that? I think we'll relate the series to the game, but still, we're looking at these as daily picks. So keep that in mind. It's game one of the series. I'm not talking about who I think is going to win the series or anything like that. It's more or less going to be who's going to win this game. So I know that was a big thing last year that we tried to figure out and say, okay, do we involve series bets and let that kind of trickle into daily bets? We'll give that context, but these are daily bets. Just keep that in mind. But right now, again, Sixers, 8.5-point favorites here. Total sitting at 214.5 in their last 10 games here. Sixers closed out the season 5-5 against the spread. Same thing with Brooklyn. They did play well on the road. They're 2-1 in their last 3 away games here on the road. Sixers closed out the season 5-2 in their last 7 games, playing really well at home too. 10-4 against spread. Obviously, they're home here. I will say this: I think 8.5 points is just a little bit too much. So I think the Sixers obviously are the better team. They probably win this game, but I do like Brooklyn here plus the 8.5 points, and I'll give that a psycho alarm, because that is probably a crazy play. But I do think that this one is the type of game where the Sixers ultimately will win this. But I think that, they could win it by 6-7 points, not 9 points. So that's the way that I'm leaning there. In terms of the total, it's playoff basketball, so I get why these totals are so low. But I think this one could get up into the 220. So I'm going to lean towards the over as well. I think this is a game in which I don't necessarily see the defensive side of it all that much. So I'm going to lean towards the over. Next up, we got my Boston Celtics taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Celtics 9-point favorites right now. Total is sitting at 230.5. I've also seen it at 231 on some books, so that is definitely worth keeping in mind. This is not a biased pick, guys, but I am leaning Celtics here minus the 9 points. And I know the Hawks look really good in that first round play-in against the Heat, so that kind of shakes me a little bit. But this Celtics team has been waiting to finally get to the playoffs all season long, and they finally started to kind of get it going here towards the end of the year. Obviously, they went through a little lull. They were losing bad games, but finished the year 8-2 against the spread, 5-1 at home, 6-0 straight up in their last home games here. I think that they're ready for this match here. In terms of injuries here, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown are both on the injury report. Obviously, if you're a Celtics fan, you've heard plenty about Jaylen Brown's hand. He cut it, but they're both probable here, so hopefully that is accurate and they are playing. It is round 1, game 1. They got to be ready to go, but I'm leaning towards the Celtics here minus the 9 points. In terms of the total, this is a very high total for a playoff game, 230.5, but it's another one in which I am going to take a peek at the over. I think the Celtics can go out there and score 120 themselves today, and I don't think the Hawks are going to be schlumps themselves. They'll probably score 110, meaning that this one is already at 230, a couple buckets here and there. I do like the over. Now, if I were to say which one I lean more heavily to, obviously I do like the Celtics in this one, but I do, like I'm saying, like the over. But yeah, Philly, I like the over more than I do Brooklyn plus 8.5, but I like Celtics -9 more than I do the total in this. Maybe we can kind of give which one we weigh more. All right, Cleveland taking on the Knicks here. Cleveland 5.5-point favorites at home, total at 216. This total is all over the place on a bunch of sports books. I've seen 217 and I've seen 218 still right now. So that is definitely worth noting. Try and find the best line depending on what side you're on. Last time they played was just about a couple of weeks ago. New York won 130 to 116. Now, a lot of guys didn't play in that game, obviously, but still worth noting. That was their most recent meeting here. Jalen Brunson's probable for New York, and Julius Randle now questionable, upgraded to questionable. He was doubtful for this Saturday game. And then for Cleveland, no major injuries here. Windler's out, and then Isaac Okoro is questionable, but I wouldn't say that matters all that much. I am going to be on the Cleveland side of things. I've seen 5 on some books as well. The graphics is 5.5, but I do like Cleveland in this one. I think they just have a little bit more talent, and they're more of a playoff-capable team right now. Now, this is one of those games where, and I call attention to it every time I say this, but if someone in the comments is saying, no, the Knicks are the move, I don't think that this is something that I'd argue. So I don't necessarily say, oh, the Cleveland blows this one or wins it away. I'm just saying, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at, everything that I like to research for games. And I'm seeing this as a game where Cleveland can come in there and take it. I think they're 1-3 against the Knicks this season. So they kind of feel like the underdog here, even though they're not, so they have that chip on their shoulder as well. But again, if you like the Knicks in this one, I don't think that's a bad play at all. I think it's a pretty sharp line. 5.5 points seems like it's right where I would probably put it, or you would probably put it, so to each their own. But I do like Cleveland here, minus the points. And then in terms of the total, I got to do it again. I'm looking at the over. I think that this is just a little bit too low. Now, again, I'm probably a little psycho because I'm looking at these games and they are playoff games. There's going to be a level of intensity, but 214.5 and then 216.5 in these two games that we're talking about that have low totals, that is very, very low for teams that do have a decent offensive set there. It's not like we're looking at, I guess, take the Bulls and the Heat yesterday. Obviously had a really, really low total and they finished under the total. That's because those aren't two offensive teams, if that makes sense. All right, last game on the slate, we got the Kings taking on the Warriors here. The Warriors 1-point dogs on the 1-point favorites on the road here. Sacramento getting a point at home, but this line has been flip-flopping. I'm pretty sure on Plenty Sportsbook, Sacramento is actually the 1-point favorite, so pretty much this is a pick'em game no matter what sportsbook you are going to use. Obviously, shop around to try and find your best line there. The total's at 237.5, which we can start right there. I think this is a very, very high total for this game, especially if Golden State takes kind of advantage of it. I think they're going to try and lock down and stay, sort of defensive here. But in their last 10 games here, Sacramento 3-6-1 in terms of overs. So obviously 6-3-1 in terms of unders. And then same thing with Golden State. In the last 10 games, they've hit the under 6 times. This is playoff basketball. This is where I'm going to adopt that extra level of intensity and lean towards the under 237.5. I think it's just a little bit too high for this game. And then in terms of a side here, do I think okay, this is what I'll say. And it's going to be crazy. Sacramento is the play when I'm looking at season stats and trends and analytics and matchup and all that, right? But what I'm looking at from a visual and eye test is that the Warriors could be ready to play in the playoffs. They are the Warriors. Yes, their seed isn't like what you'd expect to see or anything like that, but they might be getting Andrew Wiggins back today as well. It just is a spot where you wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors come in and act like they're a 1 seed throughout this series type of thing. So that does shake me a little bit. I do believe I'm going to lean towards Sacramento just because I want to trust the data and the numbers. But to be completely honest, I do think that this is a Warriors team that all of a sudden could be like, oh, right, they're the Warriors. Like, this is a 3-6 matchup, right? Sacramento's a 3 seed. I wouldn't be surprised somehow if the Warriors just win this series 4-2 or something like that. So keep that in mind, I guess, for whatever it's worth. But the Sacramento team did obviously play really big at basketball as of late and throughout the season. They deserve where they are. I'm going to lean that way. They are the home team. And maybe they do have some of these young guys that say, you know what, no, the Warriors are the Warriors. We know that, but let's go out there and smack them. So that's why I'm going to lean Sacramento, but it kind of shakes me on my boots a little bit. Hopefully you guys respect the transparency. I know it probably doesn't help your picks all that much, but that's where we're at. And like I said, I'm leaning the under. But yeah, guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's video. Hope you guys do enjoy. And yeah, make sure to go throw me a follow over on TikTok, evpicks with a Z, if you do want to search it. But I'll put that link in the description as well, and the pinned comment. It would be a huge favor. Yeah, as a content creator, when you lose a content stream, it's kind of a big deal. So if you guys wouldn't mind doing that, I would appreciate it. We'll catch you guys in the next video. All right? Peace out.